Thanks, everyone. We're going to jump right into the next one. We will take a little break after the next presentation. But thank you, Susan. Thank you, David, for this wonderful conversation on writing themes in AI. Now we're going to turn to more everyday uses of AI with Kristi. Kristi is a tenured faculty member in the non-credit ESL program at Miracosta College. She provides professional development to California adult educators through her roles as an OTAN subject matter expert and CalPro facilitator. With more than 25 years of experience teaching ESL, finding new ways to integrate technology into language instruction, and putting it in the hands of students so that it can learn from much more than just English is what keeps her excited in this beautiful, rewarding profession. Help me welcome Kristi Reyes.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here with you. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday morning to delve into this world of AI that's coming at us so rapidly. I think probably I'm going to be preaching to the choir here a bit, because if you weren't interested in tech integration, you probably would be doing something different today. So today, this is our agenda. Why use projects? I'm going to talk about using AI with students to culminate in a project. Why guide students to start using generative AI? We're using it, so now we need to get it into their hands. I'm going to give you several sample projects, from really short projects that students could do in a couple of minutes to those that might be sustained over a few weeks or longer, and how generative AI tools could be used for our English learners to get some hands-on. And then I will drop in the chat these slides momentarily that have a lot other information that I won't have time to cover, with a list of resources for learning ourselves about AI, for teaching students with different lessons, and then some different listservs where you can see the multitude of AI tools that are being developed daily. So I was visiting the different breakout rooms, and I just have to say, I know that in California, our English language teachers are among the most innovative and creative in the world. And, you know, you all are seated there in the Tech Innovation Center of the world. But hopefully by the end of this session, you'll walk away with one new project idea for teaching students to use AI for positive purposes, for purposes like you and I use for our everyday life. We are teaching our students language skills for what? Some of you here, I know you're teaching much higher level, university level students, and they need to write journal articles one day. But probably the majority of English language teachers in California are teaching those adults who are age 18 to 95, who need a job, who want a better job, who want to help their kids with their homework. Some are retired and they just want to fill their time. So what can we have our students do with AI for positive? Going away from the cheating topic, okay? So some disclaimers. I am not an AI expert. I'm a tech integration enthusiast. I'm a classroom practitioner. I teach an advanced non-credit ESL class. So that would be like 3 levels below college transfer. I do not work for a tech firm. Mention of any AI tools here does not equal an endorsement. And I don't pay for anything. Okay, I am a school teacher. My income is not so great, and I do not pay for a single thing. So anything I mention here is free or has a freemium as much as possible, and there are always alternatives. Right now, I'm sure you've noticed that everybody knows about ChatGPT, but there are so many other tools being developed, and we're in the heyday of all these generative AI developments. So with that, sometimes there is this problem that comes up that is here today, gone tomorrow. So my simple rule for integrating any new technology with your students: test the tool a week before, a day before, a minute before, a second before you have students put their hands on the tool, and always have a plan B. A cautionary suggestion: AI can do things quickly. Yes, it can. It is meant to automate many of the tedious tasks that we do. It can help us think of new ideas and be creative. It can give us ideas, but it is artificial intelligence. Fast does not always equal quality. And always, always question the output. I was in a training with some teachers where they were learning an AI tool to create lesson plans, and they put in their prompt and they walked away. I'm done. Going back to student writing, the equivalent for us, where's your personality? Where's your voice, right? So always question output and model that for students as well. So on this slide, I won't read this all to you, but ChatGPT is only one type of a large language model. There are others, and it's only one type of generative AI. There are so many. I'm sure that as you were in your breakout rooms, you've heard of others. We have the Sora AI that's creating these super realistic deep fake videos and so many things, right? But luckily for us, this can save a little time, but more I like to emphasize that it can help us have a thought partner as teachers. Same for our students. So if you can go to the chat and please say hi, okay? You've already said hi to each other in breakout rooms, but if you can please share so we can learn from each other, what generative AI tools have you used for teaching purposes beyond ChatGPT, okay? Think of anything else that you can share there. And if you want to share your experiences, I'm sorry, we won't really have time to highlight any great things there, but please use the chat as a back channel to communicate with others here. And so I'll pause for a moment on that one before I show the next question. Okay, and while you're still answering that question, I'll go ahead and go to the next one in the interest of time. What generative AI tools have you taught students to use? If you can share tools and briefly, like one sentence for an activity. I already heard some great things that you are all doing with your students. And so I think we can all be validated here. I was validated already. And great minds think alike. So you may hear some things here like, oh, that's what I did too. So that means we're all doing some great things if we're coming up with these creative ways to put the technology in the hands of our students. So please continue to share in the chat. I'm going to continue on. So I've been using projects for a long time, and I've been training teachers about project possibilities. And in November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, I started using, generative AI tools for myself, but why not for our students too, right? Think about our everyday lives, our workplaces. I'm sure you've done a work-based project with others before. Projects are relevant. They make our instruction meaningful to students' lives and futures. Later on today, I have a project. I don't know about you. You probably have some projects going on right now. In project-based learning, students can gain knowledge. So it's not just teaching about comma use and conjugating verbs. They can gain knowledge by engaging in tasks that result in the creation of a product that demonstrates their English skills and content knowledge and creativity. And if you've ever had students do a project, that end product is something they walk away from our classes with feeling really proud, and that confidence and raising of their self-esteem can carry on into other areas of their lives and into their English. Traditionally, project-based learning is some sort of investigative question that we pose. And in K through 12 settings, it is sustained over an entire semester or school year. For those of you who are like me working in adult ed, that doesn't really work because our students in my program, we have 8-week terms. So there's no way we could do that. So the projects I'm going to talk about are shorter term. But also when we use project-based learning, we're also having a great opportunity to integrate the adult education standards. I don't know if you're familiar with the English language proficiency standards of 2016 that came from CCRS, that came from Common Core. And so these standards call for integrating all the skills around a topic or theme that builds students' background knowledge and having students develop their critical thinking skills and integrates technology in some way. So here's our opportunity, right? Also, I'm not sure if you're familiar with OCTAE, the US Department of Education. For those of you who've been teaching as long as I have, you maybe remember SCANs. They were soft skills that we were charged with implementing and training students to use and to develop in our classes. Soft skills, well, they're new soft skills, and they are part of the teaching skills that matter. Adaptability and willingness to learn, communication, critical thinking, interpersonal skills, navigating systems, problem solving, processing and analyzing information, respecting differences and diversity, and self-awareness. So we can bring in soft skills learning with projects, obviously. So here is a quote from Bob Lenz, the executive director of the Buck Institute for Education, and his group was very instrumental in pushing out project-based learning. I won't read it all, but you can see it was dated 2018. So even though this is a little bit dated, you see the word automation. I don't know about you, I've had many students who have lost their jobs due to automation. Our world is changing. And as you can see, Bob Lenz says, it has become a project-based world. This is a woman I have followed since 2015, Kathy Schrock, a tech integration librarian. And she said nowadays, it's not just about teaching traditional literacy like we do. It's about teaching digital literacy, global literacy, data literacy. Look at all these literacies. We have 13 literacies that we should somehow help students develop. It's not just about the 4 skills anymore. And now we have AI literacy added to that. So there are several frameworks that are coming into play. UNESCO, the California Department of Education is coming out with a framework. The EdTech Center at World Ed. This one is from Digital Promise, which really focuses a little more on K through 12. But, you know, learning about AI is one thing for our students. But also, as you can see, AI literacy includes knowledge and skills that enable humans to critically understand, use, and evaluate AI systems and tools to safely and ethically participate in an increasingly digital world. So some teachers are thinking, I don't want to show my students these tools, they're going to cheat. Wow, what a disservice we're doing to students if we are not showing them these tools. You may have seen LinkedIn and Microsoft released a report of different company leaders, and they say that they would prefer to hire an inexperienced worker who has some AI skills over someone who is highly experienced with no AI. So we can rest assured that some of our students are going to have their jobs replaced. So we need to step in and maybe make sure that they're getting good information about what to study if they're going on to college and careers. So as you can see from this information that 6 in 10 workers will have 10% of their work tasks impacted by ChatGPT or other generative AI, large language models, and 50% will have 50% of their work tasks impacted. So some of us here, by choice, we have had some of our work impacted by that, which can speed up our time by 10% or more. But again, it's a thought partner. It's not the end all when we use these tools. So anybody who's going into banking, insurance, software, and platforms, I mean, you know, young people were really pushed into STEM. And Susan was talking about how we were told as teachers we would need to learn coding. No, there are tools that can do the coding for us. So some jobs are definitely going to be impacted. But you can see, according to the World Economic Forum, the top 10 fastest growing jobs are AI and machine learning specialists, sustainability specialists, and lots of other things in tech. So we're going to continue to have this trajectory of very high tech and very low, maybe high touch, those two types of jobs. Manufacturing, those things have already left our world, right? So what are the projected job skills for the future? New for 2025 is projected analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. Wow. Ideation on a Saturday morning. If you had a late night last night, AI can help us with that, can't it? So the hard skills involved are prompt engineering, including settings, fine-tuning the output. It's like these ChatGPT and those other tools are like chatbots. We can have a conversation. I like this, I don't like that. Info literacy. This is critical that we start teaching students to question. I think it was critical way back, but even more so, right? Soft skills are going to be taking on a greater importance because if you ever heard the anecdote about Bill Gates when he was CEO of Microsoft, which hires the best and brightest around the world, he would hire a new worker for a top project, but they would have a month probationary period to see how they worked with others. So learning to learn, problem solving, collaborating, creativity, critical thinking, resilience, risk-taking, growth mindset. And, you know, I'm so kind of bummed, but because of the funding that we have for many programs in California for adult learners, there are these standardized tests. Do they really test what students know and what they can do? So demonstrating of learning through a product or a project is more real life. So if you can have your phone ready, if you are on your phone, don't worry, I will post things into the chat, but I'm going to have some QR codes for just a little bit of hands-on. I'm going to start off with some skill-based types of activities. So first, again, great minds think alike. I heard Susan Gare talk about how she had students use Padlet to try to replicate an image. I have a lesson plan too, the same lesson plan that I did with my students recently. Their SLO is to write a descriptive paragraph. And so I wanted to give them a little bit of experience learning generative AI with image generators and how to prompt well. So let me just show you for a moment my students' work. They were completely in Zoom and we were learning about adjectives and now applying. And what I gave them is each group had their own slide, and it's loading here. And I found images either from Google Arts and Culture or images from New York Times Learning Networks, what's going on in this picture. And I modeled, and what students did then is, for example, here's the group one, they had a Van Gogh image. They had to work together to write a description. Then they had to sort of take some of the key ideas because you can't prompt so exact with we don't need all of that punctuation, for example. And then they went to an AI tool, and this was all in Zoom, and they used a couple. They used Dolly at that time or Crayon to see how the generative AI would output. And so here is another group. And this is what they got. And they were really happy for the most part with the results, but they realized maybe they needed to provide a little more detail in their writing to make a description more vivid. So they discussed the differences and then they applied what they learned about descriptive writing to their descriptive paragraph, which was about a significant place from their lives. So Google has a couple of great tools that you can start to have students experiment with. Say what you see and odd one out, where they try to identify which image is AI generated. Another skill-based one, my friend Ryan is here. We were thinking of this would be a really fun way to use generative AI image generators to create an image and ask students what's the backstory. So kind of as a pre-writing for narratives, but Ryan and we trained our teachers at our school and had a digital storytelling festival at one point, a big project. And if you've ever taught digital storytelling, if you can share yes or no in the chat, it's a great way for students to integrate all their skills, and the stories they tell are just so amazing. So they can capture a part of their lives as immigrants in this country. Well, back then when we had a digital storytelling class, we had to search all over the internet. We were using copyright images, I'm sure, and it was really hard to find exact images. So anyway, what do you think is my backstory here from this image? If you want to share in the chat, you can probably guess. It was getting up one winter morning to go to my class. Very dimly lit closet. Maybe this has happened to you. Show up at work with 2 different shoes. Okay. So we can have students use images to supplement their writing as well, to make it more come to life. In truth, you know, the 5-paragraph essay, while it has its merits, what kind of writing do people really do these days? They do blog posts, they do social networking posts. So I'm sure you have seen, I follow many people on LinkedIn, all kinds of, I believe, AI generated articles and images to accompany them. So we should step on board and help students to do that. Okay, I want you to take a moment and imagine you are on your dream vacation. I don't know about you, I have about 6 more hours of teaching next week. So you are on your dream vacation. Write down a few details or key words describing what you see around yourself. Okay. Now, if you have your phone, you can open your phone and scan this QR code, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw the news. The latest update to iOS iPhones will include AI built in. It's being built in everywhere around us, whether we notice it or not. So this is Skyblocks. Okay, this is 360 images. So I will put this in the chat and give you just a moment to test it out. And it will create a 360 image for you. What a fun way for students to do some creative writing, some descriptive writing, okay? So here it comes in the chat if you want to try it out. So when you go there, there are models. Okay, it's okay if you don't see what your dream vacation right now. You select sort of a model that you like, and then there is a prompt that's provided that you modify. Then the sharing is by a URL. So we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, to have you all share, but I'll just share with you. This is my house in La Jolla. So this is my dream home, right? There we go. And then I also asked Skyblocks to create a cyberpunk school of the future. Here is the school of the future. I don't see any teachers or students, interestingly, because probably we will have some sort of Neuralink brain implant to learn things. I don't know. So yeah, so this is some fun little project ideas. If you have some idea for how you would maybe use this tool, 360 image generator, go ahead and share in the chat. Lots of possibilities. Okay, chatbots are in the news all the time. The one I'm going to talk about here is Hello History, but our friend here, Amanda Simons, has really opened my eyes to what is the possibility and how students are using these chatbots. So one that's really clean and nice is Hello History, made specifically for education. How many of you ever have students do biography projects where they research about someone famous from their country or a historical figure? Well, Hello History, it is only an app. It's not available online in a web browser. It would be a great way for students to have a chat with someone from history. So for example, I had a little chat here with Rosa Parks, and can you guess what kind of grammar students would be practicing? Past. I heard past. Yes, past tense. Question formation is so hard. So what students could do is select a person from the app, and then report back their dialogue. They could take a screenshot of this and report back with reported speech. They could practice embedded questions. So this could be a way to integrate grammar, have students do that usual biography project in an interesting way. For our younger students, they're already using chatbots a lot. So it'd be great for our older students to start to learn that as well. Okay, I often teach idioms because my students are really advanced, along with academic vocabulary. So you could have, as a project, students creating an idiom or vocabulary dictionary for class. So what I have done is we learn a series of idioms and practice with conversation, discussion boards, quizzes, and things like that. And at the end of the term, students work in pairs to find an image that represents an idiom, and then it's a team quiz for the culminating activity. Well, it's really hard because sometimes they would go and search raining cats and dogs and it was just too obvious, right? So can you guess what idiom is represented here? Go ahead and type in the chat.
Under the weather.
You got it. He's feeling under the weather. So why don't we have students do this work for us, right? Have them quiz each other and create the images for whatever vocabulary we're teaching, right? Under the weather. So have you heard of UNESCO's Sustainable Development Goals? And the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What an opportunity for students to share about the differences of what rights they have in the United States versus in their country. So we could bring in civics and citizenship as well. I've been wanting to do this. I haven't quite got around to it yet, but I have a lesson plan where I want students to learn about one or the other of these. And then we watch a lot of TED Talks in my class already, and TWE was mentioned here. TWE is a great tool. It's been very useful for me. I put in the URL for a YouTube video and it generates the questions, so I don't have to rack my brain coming up with questions for a video. But we watch a lot of TED Talks, and so I'd like students to learn about the typical format of a TED Talk, and then not have necessarily a large language model create the TED Talk, but help them develop a TED Talk. What a great way as a project to learn about things that are going on globally, locally, and then choose something that is near and dear to them. And with a simple slideshow, present that as they've practiced with your feedback over time on their oral delivery and their pronunciation. So I remember our friend here, Marcia Chan, with the teaching of pronunciation work group. She had visitors a while back, a couple of years ago, talk about a mere speech project. This is kind of like that, but students are actually choosing a topic that they're interested in. So I see this a lot in colleges, not at my school so much, but at the credit side sometimes, and definitely in K through 12, spoken word poetry slam. What a great way to practice stress, intonation. And so students could write with AI assistance a poem that they deliver as a rap, for example, and it could become a contest. So here's one that ChatGPT wrote for me about immigrants. How many of you here remember Schoolhouse Rock? If you were born in this country around the time I was, okay, we won't identify ourselves necessarily. Marisol, I see you there. I will never forget the song Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function? I will not sing it for you. Okay, I'll spare you that. But mnemonics like this. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. No singing today. Zero My Hero. Yes. Wow. 50 years later, still sticking with me. Mnemonics. I often teach students mnemonics, but why don't we have students create their own mnemonic device for something we're teaching? So I don't think I have time to show you this one, but I'm going to put in the chat the slides so that you can click on this example. When you teach adjective word order in front of a noun, do you do the no sass comp? Well, why don't we have students create a mnemonic and with a song generator. So this voice mod text to song, they can come up with some words and it will output a short video or a song that's an MP3 file, and they can all share their mnemonic device. Instead of me creating it, having students create the mnemonic device and the song, I'm pretty sure that 50 years from now, they will remember, just like those of us remember Schoolhouse Rock songs, right? So in one of the groups I was in earlier, there was some talk about, oh, I would love to create some music. I'm so excited about that. Again, great for us, but why don't we put the technology into the hands of the students? There are several different song music generators. So you can choose, of course, ChatGPT is not going to provide music, it will provide lyrics. Song R will help you with lyrics, or you put in your lyrics. So if you'd like to try that, I have some different lesson plans listed here too, writing about, personal theme song, identity rap, and so on, grammar analysis, sort of things like that. But you could, for example, if you want to try, pull out your phone and go to Song R or ChatGPT, which you don't even need to log into anymore. You don't need an account to use. So even better when we can use those tools that don't require students to remember another login, right? So if you'd like to try it out, and as we get towards the end, if you'd like to share your song, maybe this could be your prompt. Write a 10-line rap about California ESL teachers using the words stupendous, amazing, and innovative. Okay, something like that, and see what we come up with. I do a lot of projects very early in my class, oftentimes where students are working together in pairs, strategically thinking of, the multiplicity of different skills. So pairing up students who feel really confident with their English, maybe not so confident with technology, with students who don't feel so good with their English, but feel good with technology. And so I do a lot of this icebreaker type of project too, where students create something that represents themselves. So I have a whole lesson plan about symbolism, and this one is about creating a personal seal. So this is my personal seal. I don't have samples from the past to show you, but students then write about how these different things in their personal seal represent who they are and make an oral presentation. Do that early in the class and break the ice. It's a great way to get a diagnostic of students' skills as well. So this one was created with an image generator. I just prompted it, came up with a few different possibilities, and chose the one that I liked. A really popular project that I think a lot of teachers I've seen use is logos, creating logos. I have students who have their own companies, and a student created a logo with one of these AI generators and created t-shirts and business cards and flyers. And so I have it more in my class as, again, an introduction activity. So there's a whole lesson plan. I don't think I have time to show you my students' work, but here's one I created very quickly with a logo generator. There are several out there, and always need to tell students when I ask for a credit card, don't do it, just take a screenshot. Okay, so if you'd like to try this out, you can scan this QR code. This one, Luca, I discovered a few years ago before I even knew that it was an AI tool. And so this is one that's very easy. And what sources are the AI copyright? Well, these are businesses. So I'm not going to talk about that so much because this is a one-time class thing where students are not necessarily publishing. But for my student who was a business person, he paid for the website. He paid to get the business card and things. So obviously, if you're paying for it, it must be vetted for copyright. Okay, so what you can do if you would like to try this out is you can scan that and it will go to Luca. It asks you for a business name or company name, and then it just provides, it's not rich with artwork stolen from famous artists or anything like that. It's vector images mostly. So it's not so much copyright issue with the logo generators. So then Canva will do this as well. Design.com and many others will create a logo. Then I don't know if you ever do business projects with your students. There is data that shows that many immigrants are entrepreneurs owning their own businesses. I can look around my town and I see the taco shop and I see the donut shop and so on, right? So while not all students are interested in that, some students might be interested in entrepreneurship. So a project that I've had students do before is working together as a team. They think of a business. They can use generative AI to do the brainstorming with them. They create a logo. They use generative AI to help them learn how to write a business plan. They write the business plan, they present to their class, and so on. Phil Alcock is someone I recommend that you follow. I follow him on LinkedIn. His company is AIXPBL. So he is posting daily about different projects that use AI. He is working with teachers in Mexico. So of course, language learners of English. And he did this project as he was training teachers to have the teachers use generative AI to create merch for their town. What a fun project that would be for students to think of and share about their home countries by creating a t-shirt or a baseball cap or a poster or something like that. I had students do this t-shirt design project as a way for them to have some fun and introduce themselves before we got into a very hard-hitting topic, the topic of fast fashion. And so students created a t-shirt. Canva. If you have a Canva account, once you create your Canva account, they will start sending you emails about their monthly Canva challenge. And one of their challenges was to design a t-shirt. So again, you can see my theme is hummingbirds. Students created a t-shirt. And through the process, I learned that a gentleman in the class from Russia, he has his own t-shirt design company. I would have never known that. But it was kind of a nice and pleasant way for them to learn about generative AI as we got into a deeper topic. But they introduced themselves with their t-shirts and explained the colors that they chose and so on. There are so many different tools and apps that will help you figure out how to remodel or how to decorate your home. So this is you saw my dream home in La Jolla, right? So this is my dream living room. It only took a couple of seconds to choose a color palette and describe a little bit what I wanted. And this is what I came up with. So those of us who are teaching really beginning ESL, you know that these are the themes that we teach: housing, employment, so on. Well, why not have students practice that vocabulary of housing by having them create their dream home or remodel or a dream room and present that to the class? Okay, another everyday topic, kind of the bane of my existence, is meal planning, because I have a vegan in the household and a meat eater. And so if you would like to try this, nutrition. I've read a lot, and maybe you've seen this too. The immigrants come to America, the first thing they do is go to In-N-Out. And they think that many people in this country eat that way daily. Some do, right? But teaching about nutrition as well is important. So for this project, you've probably heard about this. You probably open ChatGPT, and it's one of the suggestions for how you can use large language models. So this is a lesson plan to bring in food and nutrition. You could assign students in groups and give them 3 meal items. You've heard this. I have these things in my pantry. What can I make from it? And so if you'd like to try this, you're welcome to try it out. But let's imagine group one has these 3 items, group 2, these 3, and group 3. So they can go to any of the large language models. I kind of like Perplexity, if any of you tried that. If you've ever looked on a recipe website, they're the most annoying thing in the world. First of all, there's a long narrative about walking in the orchard with grandma before you can ever find the recipe, and there are many ads and images, and you're scrolling endlessly. But these tools will help us kind of narrow in. Again, don't trust 100%, but with Perplexity, it will also give you the website links to go look at those recipes as well. So if you'd like to try it out, here would be a prompt. Provide 3 recipes for a family of, in my case, for a family of 4 with the following: salmon, rice, and I don't know, broccoli. Okay. And then students could talk with their group and decide which recipe they like the best and why. And then using all the pre-learning they've done as you have taught about sodium and sugar intake and all of that, they could try to decide which meal is healthiest, but also go back and ask the large language model which meal is healthiest and why, confirming with what they have learned in class. So which meal do you choose based on the nutritional information? Students could then, I know this is a hallmark of many lower level ESL classes, to create a recipe book or a menu. And there are tools like Canva where they could do this. So this could be a really fun everyday project. And my time is almost up, I know, but for employment, I find out from my students what are their main career areas that they are doing now or interested in. And I know annually, I have a lot of students who are really interested in going into nursing, certified nursing, especially. So students, I asked ChatGPT to make 3 personas for someone, 3 people with different levels of experience, education, and skills in CNA. So what students could do then is work together. They're assigned in groups to one persona, and they create a resume, a cover letter for their client, and then they learn about customizing application materials to job announcements. Something I wish a lot of teachers would do as they apply to different schools. Look at what the job is asking. It doesn't really matter so much that you have all this other wealth of experience. How can you customize your materials? So character AI is one tool that a lot of young people in America are using. And so I feel that it's important for the parents of those young people to know what their children are doing. Character AI is filling a gap. We have an epidemic of loneliness in this country. There's a great video that Amanda Simons told me about from the Washington Post. Replica, my AI lover, young people in China are also befriending chatbots. So it's not just an epidemic of loneliness. I believe it's a pandemic of loneliness. So just as a side note, I have a student right now who is from Iran, and she says she uses chatbots because she is a professional in her country and she needs her credential. She needs to pass an exam so that she can go back to her profession here in the United States of being a occupational physical therapist. And she says, I use these chatbots in this way. I ask them to create quiz questions for me, and then I question, why did you say that? I disagree. So this is what we need to teach students how to do. So I asked this chat AI interviewer chatbot to interview me as if I'm applying for a teaching position. And some of the questions were a little bit tricky, they challenged me. But following over from that employment activity, then students could help their CNA client to prepare for the job interview. So some of my students say, I'm never going to work, I'm retired. It's the technology and the language that they can still be focusing, and then they can role play with another interview questions. Do you like to travel? I'm sure you do. That's probably how you came into this career, right? So it's so sad for me. I have a middle school son, and he's friends with many of the immigrant children in his school. We live 5 miles from the beach, and last summer was the first time that one of his friends ever went to the beach because the parents are working so hard. But there's so many beautiful things. We live in this wonderful state. Plan a one-day trip for a family of 4 to Borrego Springs. So first, students can ask, what are some places I can go visit around here? What do you recommend? And then I like to teach about the carbon footprint. So what would be a good restaurant to go? Should we drive? Should we take a train, etc.? Finally, my last 2 project ideas are about community involvement. Civics is a big part of what we do in adult ed. So students could say, blank is a growing problem in my community. I want to help, but I'm not rich, although some of my students are. List 5 things I can do. Then they can use PictoChart, which will create an infographic for them, present the infographic, and as a class project can be to decide on a service learning project. Family literacy. Okay, I know some of you may have students who say, I want to help my children with their reading. So there are tools that you can use. My daughter's 21, so this doesn't apply anymore, but I asked a large language model to help me. I gave the details. Sophie is her name, what she loves, and it created a story. Then I would go back and edit it, and I could use a tool like Book Creator to create a book for a child, and then organize a read-in day for children in the community. So where can we get project ideas? What are you interested in? If you're interested in it, you will have the enthusiasm to get your students engaged in that. Your students, learn about your students, find out what's going on in your community. Teach from the headlines, connect projects to popular culture, build on our passions, and co-design with students. So just as if you need ideas for projects that you can do, and there are so many different generative AI tools, I have a project I've been doing for a long time, and I wanted to see how ChatGPT would handle it, and it was remarkably close. I liked mine a little bit better, to be honest, but I got some ideas for how I could enhance my project. So we can ask these tools to create projects for us as well. And there is a repository of many different prompts for education, AI for education. They have a prompt library that you can go to that has prompts for projects. So my time is up. Here are many other resources. Finally, I will just say use impromptu moments. You know those teachable moments? So in my conversation class, we were working on the I versus the E sound. And half of the students are Spanish speakers. And one student came to me and said, I do not know how to pronounce these 3 words differently. For me, they are beer, beer, and beer. So impromptu, I said, hey, do you know about these image generators? And here is an image generated from that sentence. Students will never forget how to pronounce bird versus beard versus beer. So in conclusion, AI is not going away. Model it. Think aloud, question, show your critical thinking. Keep those examples where AI actually failed you to show students it's not actually more intelligent, but it can be a great resource. Teach students to use AI for good. Thank you, everybody. If you'd like to share in the chat a student assignment or project that comes to your mind, you can explore many tools. I will share in the chat right now the file so that you can peruse this maybe during your summer vacation. Thank you, everybody.
Kristi, thank you so very much. We really appreciate that you joined us for this session. And I wish we had more time to hear a lot more of your examples and the things you've done in class. Sounds very inspiring to see how you've used it. So I think, Guillermo, you're going to make a quick announcement. I know we're running a little bit behind time, but we will catch up.
Quick announcement, everyone, is break time. So let's take 10 minutes break and then come back in 10. That's it.